Hey guys, it's Bots Obsession. If you haven't seen my face, this is my face. Uh so anyways, I wanted to talk about the Transformers conspiracies, or like the collector conspiracies that are going around lately. There's been a lot of talk about this over the last few years, as I've noticed, as I've been more involved in the Transformers fandom. And there's a particular video that was released very recently by a fairly prevalent Transformers YouTuber. If you know the video, you know the video. And I don't want to try and start beef with that person, but I do want to try and kind of debunk these theories that people have in terms of like the Transformers brand. So I would like to start with the John Warden problem. Let's talk about John Warden, which I don't know which one he is, but he's one of these two guys on screen here. He's one of these guys. This is Evan. We love Evan. So John Warden was a brand manager, brand coordinator on Transformers during, or maybe he was a designer, I forget, but he was part of the Transformers team for Hasbro in during the Prime Wars trilogy, up through the War for Cybertron trilogy, and the first year of Legacy. And a lot of people are like, oh, he only cares about G1. He comes back to the brand, we're only getting G1. We got an interview with him. You can read it. It's right here. It was at Comic-Con. TFW interviewed him. And if you read it, on multiple occasions, he talks specifically about doing more Armada, RID, Beast Wars, and Neo. That they want to do that stuff. That they want to do more trilogies, like the War for Cybertron trilogies. There's a few other things that he talks about, such as wanting to do RID Megatron. He specifically calls out Nautica and IDW Fort Max later on, as well as doing Autobot City and Animated Omega Supreme as a Titan. He talks about all these things that he would like to do. So I think calling him a G1er is wrong. I think perhaps maybe he prefers G1, maybe he likes G1 more than the other continuities, and that's fine, we all have a preference. But I think saying that the brand is going to die just because John Warden comes back to it is false. John Warden also has been working on the G.I. Joe brand. We know from trademarks and other things, including this interview, that Hasbro is planning some sort of merger between G.I. Joe and Transformers. There's some sort of weird interconnection there, along with the Energon universe. So I think having the brand guy from G.I. Joe come and work on the Transformers team as well is part of that unification. I don't think there's a lot more than that. He even talks about how Evan and Mark are still on the design team and that we're going to continue the aesthetic from Legacy. So I don't know. I think that a lot of people are just freaking out because they're tired of G1, honestly, which is a fair thing to be tired of. There's a lot of G1 and we've been stuck in it for a while, but I think we're blowing this one out of proportion. I don't think Warden has it out for us. So I think anyone who's like, "Oh no, John Warden's coming back. He's going to ruin the brand." That's all puff and smoke. It's nothing. Let's talk about the real reason I wanted to make this video, which is that the conspiracy that Hasbro has all these pre-tools and repaints and better versions already planned. That these are planned. Let's talk facts. Let's talk facts before we get into some examples. We know that Hasbro works roughly 10 months to 2 years in advance when planning a line. Those 2 years are not only toy development time, it's also character planning, etc., mold usages, budgeting. That is all those things. We know that it takes roughly 10 months for a toy to be produced. We know this not only from HasLab timelines, but we also know it from this interview. This is actually a really insightful interview. If you haven't read it, please go read it. I will link it below. But yes, we know that it takes roughly 10 months from whenever they lock in on a toy for it to be made. Let's talk Thundertron, because this is the most egregious example of this. We knew that, I think we've known since Thundertron was released that there was a pirate Thundertron on the horizon. This one, which has the more accurate head, he has the hook hand, the more accurate colors, and he comes with some other cool stuff. The blue rock is pretty cool, and the pirate flag bat is also pretty sick. But we knew about this. And there's been some complaints that's like, oh, I already bought the original release Thundertron. Now I want this one. Sorry, that's on you. We knew about this. Another example. This is the only example, by the way, where Hasbro. Let's lock in here. Hasbro pre-planned a better version. And realistically, let's not everyone's going to be into the leader class price point for this. Not everyone's going to want the Rock. Not everyone's going to want this, although I think a lot of people do like these two at least. And not everyone's going to want the hook hand. The other Thundertron has that darker blue, and it still looks good. The other Thundertron is perfectly acceptable and still has the Starseekers logo. These are two characters made for two different aesthetics and two different people. If you want the darker blue with a more legacy style face, like a G1 Thundertron, get the other one. If you want a Prime Universe Thundertron, I think this is your Thundertron. It looks great. An example that was brought up was this Lio Convoy. This special T-Spark Lio Convoy. And it's like, oh, well, Hasbro knew they were going to make this. Firstly, this is a Takara product. This is Takara. Some other examples that were brought up were the Beast Wars 2-packs that Hasbro knew those were going to come out. So Kingdom was like 2021, 2022. It is 2024 now. I don't think that Hasbro knew that Takara was going to repaint these things and repackage them. I don't think they knew that they were going to remold Lio Convoy. Should Takara maybe have talked to Hasbro and been like, hey, we should go more toon accurate? I 100% agree with that. I think that we do deserve better first releases. But the Beast Wars 2-packs and this guy right here are all made for the Takara market. These are made for, and they're also made for high-end collectors. These are not like simple things that you can just put out at mass retail. The level of paint on this is insane. There is so much paint dripped all over this guy. Same thing with those Beast Wars 2-packs. There is a lot that goes into those, and those are for a completely separate market than the North American or Hasbro markets. Let's call them the Hasbro markets, yes. And I don't think that it is a fair comparison to say, oh, well, Hasbro knew this was coming. Because I'm sure some guy at Takara, one of the Takara dudes, was just like, yeah, by the way, we're doing this. And that was like 6 months ago, 10 months ago. And Hasbro's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll put them up on Pulse so that way our markets can get them. You know, I'm sure that's essentially how the conversations go. But also, I don't know. We don't know how those conversations happen. We don't know what the timeline is on these. We don't know those things, and I think judging Hasbro for Takara's actions is wrong. Now, something we can judge Hasbro on, and I want to talk about this too, is things like Kingdom Blaster and this Soundwave. We can see him right there. So this is Leader Class Soundwave from Legacy, and he's right there. We can tell it's that one because it has Buzzsaw. So it's not the Nemesis Bridge version, which, again, my statement for the Lio Convoy and the Beast Wars 2-packs also applies to that Nemesis Bridge Soundwave. But this Soundwave right here. Some people are getting upset about this one because they're like, oh, well, I got Netflix one and mine yellowed and this, that, and the other. And to be fair, that is frustrating. That is upsetting. But I think that this Soundwave is literally just a refresh for a character that a lot of people are having trouble getting. And yes, it does suck that it is a leader class and it is just that Soundwave again. But much like 86 Blaster, I think that this has a purpose. It is a refresh because not everyone started collecting at the same time you did. Not everyone has been collecting as long as I have. I started collecting back in 2019, 2018, and I've been able to get almost everything for my collection that I've wanted so far. I understand that it's frustrating when you're an early adopter and something comes out that's a little bit better. It is frustrating. But at least in the case of this Leader Class Soundwave, he is almost 1-to-1 that Netflix Soundwave. He has the biggest difference is he has yellow on the hinge, I think. So I think people complaining about this one are upset that their Soundwave yellowed. Rightfully so. Mine yellowed. It's annoying. It's frustrating. But I think these things aren't necessarily for us. Another thing that we've talked about, package refreshes. Let's go back to that idea. Here we have the Autobots United 5-pack, which people were complaining because, oh, these are better than the ones we got. So yes, Sunstreaker's colors. Let's kind of. Sunstreaker's colors are more consistent here because he doesn't use clear plastic. Yes, but also if you look at this, this has two characters in here that were impossible to get: Sunstreaker and Trailbreaker. It has Jazz, who had a yellowing problem, and it has Wheeljack in it, who people complained that his white wasn't white. It was like an off-white. He was like a smoker's white. And then it had Hound. And yet people are bitching that, oh, Jazz is in here, oh, Wheeljack is in here. It's like, those guys also had problems. This is the I'm sorry 5-pack, dude. If you don't want it, if you already have these characters, don't buy it. That's my biggest complaint with these guys, is these people bitching and whining because they already bought the character. And it's like, yeah, we didn't know that these were coming. I'm sure Hasbro didn't know these were coming. All of these molds are War for Cybertron molds. This is literally just so people who missed out on them or never had the chance to get them in the first place can finally have these. On top of this is a 5-pack, dude, and it's an online Pulse exclusive. It's a Gen Select box. You're only getting this if you're a collector, let's be honest. Another problem that I have with the whole, like, oh, we keep getting these upgraded figures and I keep buying the worst version. Part of it is on you. I want to put this on the collectors to a degree. Part of this is on you, because as a collector, if you are in the fandom and you are keeping track of things that are coming out, you have a duty to yourself and your hobby. Vangelis actually just did like a big panel on like making sure that you're happy in your hobby. You have a duty to yourself and your hobby to make sure that you are happy in it. To a degree, that means making sure you get the version you want. That means that if you see a leak list and you see Thundertron and Pirate Thundertron on both the leak lists, maybe you should wait a little bit. Maybe you should take the time to see what the other version looks like, especially when the other Thundertron, the Voyager one, at this moment, while the leader is coming out, is still readily available. I bet there's going to be photos of Voyager Thundertron on the same shelf as Leader Thundertron. I bet that's going to happen. So you have a duty to yourself as a collector to not only check the leak list, but make sure you're getting the version you want. So if you even think that there's a version that's on that leak list or that's coming out soon that you want, maybe you should wait. I understand. We probably didn't think that we were going to get a Studio Series 86 Blaster, but we'll probably get a Studio Series 86 Soundwave, and he's probably going to look better than the Netflix one, which is why I'm not going to go for the leader. I bet that we're going to see a couple other Studio Series guys that look better than their current versions. Same thing with Netflix Bumblebee. I mean, sure, we didn't know about Studio Series 86 at the time, but it was pretty well known that it was going to come up. So if you were screaming, thinking, oh man, I want 86 Bumblebee, wait. He's going to be in 80. He's going to be in 86. You know, you don't have to get the Netflix one. And I think that's my problem. I think that's my problem, like, as a person, is that I look at these leak lists and I go, oh, they're probably going to do another version of him. I'll wait, you know. They're probably going to do another version of this. I'll wait a little bit longer, you know, and that's fine. If you want to early adopt, that's also fine. But don't complain when you can't sell the previous version because the new one's coming out and you want the new one now when you didn't have to buy the previous one. I think that's the big problem. And yeah, it does kind of suck when the rug gets pulled out from under us. But at this point, I think it's relatively safe to assume that if they are a G1 or movie cast character, we're probably getting a Toon Colors version. So if one is released and they're not in 86, maybe you should wait and see if they do a Toon Colors version. So that's me kind of debunking some of these Transformers conspiracy theories. TLDR, John Warden's not going to ruin the brand. Hasbro is not out to get you. The Takara repaints are always going to be Takara repaints. We've always had them. They're just more readily available to the masses now. Oh, and you don't have to buy every toy on the shelf. There we go. Those are the three. I want to thank you guys for watching. YouTube thinks you'll like this. Whoa, this video. There we go. They think you like this video. Don't forget to check out my support links down in my description, and I'll see you in the next one. This has been Bots Obsession. I'd also like to give a shout out to my Patreons, Luke Thompson, Grim Lockdown, and Proton Collectibles. Thank you for supporting the channel.